Good afternoon, everyone. This is NorvellCentral coming back at you with another YouTube video. I'm joined by Chris from Spearatics, and at this time of the recording, I have 721 subscribers, and I just want to thank everyone for all the love and the support. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the content, and if you have not followed my Instagram account at NorvellCentral or my Twitter account at CentralNorvell, I have included a link tree at the bottom of the video's description, and I have also included Chris's link tree as well at the bottom of the video's description also, so you can follow his accounts. As most of you know by now, myself and Chris are SeatGeek ambassadors. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They put a 0 out of 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good deal or a bad deal, green meaning good, red meaning bad. Plus, when you use my promo code NorvellCentral or Chris's promo code Spearatics, you do get $20 off of your first ticket purchase using SeatGeek when it's $50 or more. So click the link at the bottom of the video's description so that you can download the app and use the promo code. But let's go ahead and get into the reason why we made this video today. And this is just basically a schedule review of kind of looking over Florida State's schedule released last night that kind of broke down. It was actually better than expected. A lot of Florida State fans really looking into Florida State really being burned, kind of like they were last year with the back half of the schedule that was brutal. Overall, decent schedule, but we'll kind of break down that. I'll kind of go through game by game, ask for Chris's thoughts on what the roughest part of the schedule is, and then kind of get his thought process on, based off of the schedule that he's looking at right now, how many wins does he expect Florida State to obtain this season? So basically the first game of the season is against Duquesne on August the 27th, and it's a week 0 game. So then we go over to at LSU, basically in a neutral site game in New Orleans on that Sunday, September 4th. We also have September 16th, the away game at Louisville, and it's also on a Friday. Then we go to Boston College. We play them at home on September 24th. Then we go October 1st. We play Wake Forest at home. October 8th, we play NC State on the road. And then we play Clemson at home on October 15th. October 22nd, we have a bye week. And then we also have October 29th, we play Georgia Tech at home. We play November the 5th, Miami on the road. Syracuse on the road on November 12th. And then November 19th, we play the Raging Cajuns at home. And then we also play Florida at home on November 25th on a Friday that everyone is excited about. So, Chris, looking back at that schedule and you really analyzing most of those games, where do you see the most difficult and treacherous path for the Seminoles kind of going this season?
I would say beginning with Wake Forest and ending with Clemson, those 3 games, that stretch is pretty ugly.
Yeah, like you really didn't have any favors with Florida State going through because we had so many caliber quarterbacks in the ACC, and you're looking at guys like Malik Cunningham from Louisville, Phil Jerkovich from BC. You also have the kid from Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. The list goes on and on. Devin Leary from NC State. I mean, there were so many good quarterbacks in this conference, and you really thought Florida State was going to kind of have a difficult schedule, but I really didn't expect NC State and Clemson to not have a bye week in between, and I think that's brutal, especially going through that little stretch right there. I completely agree with you. So when you look at most of the schedule that you have right now, I know a lot of Florida State fans are really optimistic on the season. They want to see Mike Norvell succeed, and his first season we went 3-6, turnover, and have a 5-7 season. In our second season, how many wins do you really expect us to have in this schedule? And how many wins do you really think that Mike Norvell is, quote unquote, I guess you could say, not on the hot seat? I know there's so much hot seat conversations going on. There's so many people that are kind of being a little bit more pessimistic on the situation. But what do you really realistically think when you're looking at this schedule that Florida State can be able to kind of get things done and get what they want to accomplish?
Realistically, I think they can get 8 wins. For Norvell not to be on the hot seat, he either has to become bowl eligible and win the bowl game with 6-6, or he has to go 7-5, whether he loses or wins the bowl game. He has to get 7 wins for there not to be any talk about a coaching change.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like, I know a lot of people are kind of optimistic on this season, especially looking at the first part of this season. You got Duquesne, you turn around and have LSU, and then you have that bye week in between because Duquesne plays that game before. I think they play in, was it Australia, I believe?
Yeah.
So they kind of have the benefit of the doubt there, and you struggled against the Louisville team there the last 2 seasons, and it really kind of turned its ugly head last season in the first half. We improved in the second half, and you saw how the contest kind of played out there. But overall, I think Florida State needs to start fast, and at least their back half of the schedule with Syracuse, Louisiana Lafayette, and Florida, that's kind of a favorable kind of last bit of the schedule there. Even Georgia Tech at home later in the back half of the schedule helps too. And with some of the games that Georgia Tech is playing this season, I think they start off with Clemson, and then they also play Ole Miss and then UCF. That's not very good for Jeff Collins in his do or die season at Georgia Tech. So maybe Florida State can generate and string together enough wins. When I looked at the schedule, I thought maybe 6 wins would be kind of the benchmark. I thought that the over-under totals for them, especially with Vegas, maybe 6, 6.5. I'm banking on maybe 6. I know last year the over-under totals were 5.5, which kind of was about right for that team. But personally, do you see any changes with maybe if they get going early? Do you think it favors them a little bit better, or do you think it was just kind of a mixed bag with certain things?
So most of the algorithms that I've seen puts us at 7.5 wins.
Yeah.
Me personally, you can't lose to Louisville, Clemson, and Florida this year to get to 8 wins.
Yeah.
Those 3 can't happen. So the biggest thing, in my opinion, is you got to start real fast against Louisville because it depends on what Cunningham shows up. If the one that everybody knows shows up, you can be in a lot of trouble. If the one that shows up the entire football game that showed up in the second half against us, we have a huge shot of being able to pull that win off. I believe, like me and you had talked about before, that Louisville this year should be personal. That should be a personal vendetta. We have to win that game. Clemson, I also believe, should be a personal vendetta against them as well. And personally, I want us to beat Florida. I really do, and I really think that we can. Then we're going through coaching changes and et cetera. But getting them at home is going to be nice. The Friday thing that people are freaking out about just gives me an excuse not to have to go back to Memphis to see my family, so I'm great. I'm not the last year I was worried about the second part of the schedule.
Yeah.
This year, I'm more worried about game 3, 4, 5, 6 versus last year was just the second half of the schedule was ugly, and then that's where we actually started playing ball at. So if we can start off like we ended last season, it would be great.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. I think worst case scenario here is you go through the first, I would say, 7 games right there, and if you go 2-5 going into that bye week to Georgia Tech, if you're not at least 3-4 in that situation, I think there's a little bit of an issue. And the back half of the last 5 games, like I said, are not the most dangerous competition there. I mean, you got Georgia Tech, Miami, Syracuse, Louisiana Lafayette, and Florida. So they're doable games. And yes, those inferior opponents are in between the 2 arch rivals there. So maybe it gives Florida State a little bit more momentum. But overall, I'm just wondering what happens with certain situations. Maybe that, Florida State has more generation to get that momentum going later in the season. But
Right.
I'm hoping that Jordan Travis kind of develops more of a mindset and a mentality, getting some confidence early on so he can finish strong. And that's what we saw last season was that, we started out with the 0-4 start there, and then all of a sudden 5-3 to end those last 8 games. So I'm hoping that that's kind of not really the way that we start this season, but just kind of a benchmark to say, hey, if we started like that last season and finished strong, maybe we can finish strong this season and carry it out all the way throughout the season. Just real quick, because I know a lot of Miami fans are really delusional on their coaching searches so far and how they've done. You know, a lot of Miami fans are really confident in the talents of Tyler Van Dyke, and I know he's a very talented quarterback and everything. But what are your thoughts going into Miami that week, before and having that kind of prep as we go into the last couple of games there?
Well, first, I'm going to go back just a little bit.
Yeah.
The beginning of the season, it's nice because we get to play against Duquesne. Now, obviously, we play the game. Anybody can win and lose, but we're getting a scrimmage game before we have to play LSU. LSU's first game of the season's us, which we did that last year where Notre Dame played a game before they came and played us, if I'm not mistaken. But this year, we're getting the scrimmage game first and then going to play at LSU. That, to me, gives us favorable odds to be able to pull off a win against LSU, at least compete highly in that game.
Yeah.
And then the other part of going in the schedule where you was talking about, where like Georgia Tech, to me, that's looking at like another scrimmage game before you start that terrible part of the So I think that's favorable in our schedule for those situations, those two games being where they are before we start playing certain competition. So going into Miami, look, the facts is that's just, Doak Campbell South. We'll run Hard Rock all day and all night. It doesn't matter what time they put the game for. I think that a lot of people had huge expectations with Mario Cristobal coming in at Miami.
Yeah.
And I think, not only can you not find an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, but you hire a co-offensive coordinator, and within 3 weeks, he gets hired away from you to Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be said there that there's a reason, whether it be administration or just working on the crystal ball, or maybe it's both, but the dumpster fire is going on in Miami, and they refuse to see it. They keep putting their blinders on and keep saying that they're going 12-0, and it's ridiculous because I understand that, there's a lot of advocate drug users all around the country, but some seriously good stuff going on down in Coral Springs, I would say.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say on that is it is actually the first of the month, so rent is due, so they have to pay for that stadium somehow. So they got to get on it. They got to get some staff members in there because Mario right now is meeting in the meeting room with nobody. He has chairs around. There's 0 people in there, and he's got to get some stuff done. And yeah, I think it is a talented roster, and they do have a cakewalk of a non-conference schedule. And I wish that Florida State would kind of get involved with some of those games that they're playing, like Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss and Middle Tennessee. They do have that Texas A&M road matchup there, so that is something to worry about for them. It could be a situation where they come into playing us, maybe 6-1 or something like that. But we'll see. I know that Florida State is benefited from a couple of matchups that we're playing against certain teams on the middle part of our schedule, where they're coming off games against like Clemson and teams like that. So maybe Florida State is able to generate some momentum with that. And I'm hoping the best for this season. I'm hoping 6 wins at least to kind of generate some momentum, get a bowl game, and kind of go from there. But I really do appreciate you coming on and doing this YouTube video with me. And I just want to thank everyone for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, kind of discussing and previewing the schedule, kind of talking about how each road mark is coming through with each of the schedule, and talking about how many wins Florida State can generate off of this schedule. But kind of let me know your thoughts, comment down below, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And as always, go Noles.
Go Noles.